The most popular game in the history of first-person shooters has a sequel, and I'm not talking about, well, whatever game you probably think I'm talking about. I'm talking about Crossfire X. And for anyone not familiar with the international gaming scene, the original Crossfire is a South Korean-made tactical FPS released way back in 2007 that basically became the biggest FPS game among Eastern gaming culture, while somehow remaining largely unknown in Western gaming markets. Which is kind of insane considering just how massive this IP has become. Now, the latest game, Crossfire X, which released earlier this year on Xbox One and Xbox Series consoles, just got a massive Babylon update, which I want to show you today. Also, I'd like to give a huge thank you to Crossfire X for sponsoring this video. If you want to learn more and grab Crossfire X for yourself, click the link in the video description. Now, I actually have some experience with the original Crossfire. I made a video about the game around 6 years ago, and I gotta say, loading up Crossfire X is quite nice to see such a massive visual upgrade over the first one. Clean visuals and a modern, updated approach to the UI and game mode certainly makes the title far more accessible to just, well, I guess people who are used to modern gaming. Now, Crossfire X can be pretty darn competitive if you're focusing on, say, the bomb defusal game mode, but the franchise has always focused on lots of modes and kind of goofy mixtures of modes and different things, which I think is kind of refreshing, and it allows you to just jump into some non-single elimination modes to try out different guns and sort of get your feet wet with what Crossfire actually is. One of the cooler examples of just showing what Crossfire can do with different game modes is the new Babylon update. It brings a giant new map and mode offering team-based 15v15 combat complete with mechs, helicopters, mounted turrets, and artillery strikes. It's actually pretty cool and a very big change from the compact tactical maps you might expect with titles like this. It brings a nice classic tactical shooter Middle Eastern city aesthetic to a giant map overrun by elite forces with modern weaponry. And oddly, the mechs and helicopters seem to fit in with the aesthetics pretty well and also don't feel too overpowered. The mechs have a machine gun primary for mowing down infantry or countering helicopters, and they can switch firing modes with a giant cannon that again can splash down infantry or deal big damage to other mechs on the field. The drivers are slightly exposed and I think can be skill shotted out, but it can also be tough to take aim at a specific point on a mech while that mech is shooting at you. The helicopters offer some nice visual set dressing, but also function as decent transports that you can jump out of to back cap a point on the map. But if you're like me, you'll probably want to sit behind the mounted minigun mowing down the poor infantry to your heart's content. And although the vehicle combat isn't quite as deep as, say, a milsim game might offer, it is a nice sense of immersion considering the scale of the battle, and I think it offers just enough depth to make it fun, but still keeping most of the focus on infantry combat. It's definitely impressive from a free-to-play title. Now, another thing that I definitely appreciated about this game was just the sheer quantity of weapons that are available. Assault rifles, machine guns, SMGs, snipers, handheld miniguns. Chances are if you have a favorite weapon from any game, it's going to be in here. The guns also look good and seem to have plenty of attachment options and camos as well. They also kind of have this fun retro-ish feeling with their weapons and reload animations, which I can certainly appreciate. And I'm also pleased to announce that unlocking guns is not a grind. Well, at least from my experience, the game makes it pretty darn easy to acquire any gun that you want early on. So if you think someone's dominating you with a meta gun that you don't have access to yet, you can always just buy it and try it out for yourself. And it seems like the easiest way to get the in-game currency is just to run the assignments that pop up and are pretty easy to accomplish, like playing 3 rounds of a certain mode or something like that, and you'll get a bunch of currency to buy things and try things out. There's also a battle pass which will reward you with different types of unlocks as well. Now, hopping into some of the other game modes, it's clear that the defusal mode has that classic epic formula that makes me want to keep coming back. Single elimination and high tension are a fantastic formula, and Crossfire X delivers that for the console player base. It's also nice being able to custom build several different quick pick loadouts complete with primaries, secondaries, grenade options, melee options, and 3 different specialty upgrades that can do things like make you sprint faster or regain some ammo after a kill. The game also comes with a campaign, which I haven't tried yet, and the sheer quantity of ways to play is quite impressive. I could easily see myself getting lost in the search and destroy mode. The map Black Widow in particular is like a giant homage to the classic FPS styling and flow. Now, this latest Babylon update actually improves a lot of other things about the game, and if you have played it before, you may find that some of the changes are actually pretty substantial. Aside from the new maps and modes that come with Babylon, they've added a lot of aiming improvements to the aim response curve and more ways to customize your controls and an improved matchmaking system. Plus, the Babylon update is built upon 6 months of updates that have been aimed at improving and refining the game since launch. Those updates include things like adding 10 new maps, 12 new weapons, a shooting range, new game modes, a specialty system, a tactical growth system, and more. And it's actually quite impressive and really shows the developers' commitment to making Crossfire X everything that it can be, which sadly isn't as common as I would like it to be with games these days, let alone free-to-play titles. If Crossfire X has seen this many updates in a 6-month period, I am very curious to see what this game has in store for the next 6 months. It seems like the developers Smilegate really aren't backing down from making their mark in the Western FPS market, which in my opinion is a good thing. We can always use more studios competing in this arena, and despite the wealth of multiplayer shooters available today, this one brings something both new and old to the scene. It's clear that Crossfire X is going for a game that's highly accessible, can be understood right away, and has an emphasis on skill, map knowledge, and strategy. It's a classic formula in a highly updated package and tuned for console players. And speaking of that classic formula, you can actually play the game in its classic mode, which features hipfire aiming, no sprinting, and I believe different recoil patterns more akin to the classic style of the game. It's actually kind of cool that the devs made both a classic and modern approach to this title. Since the original game is so popular, there's clearly a large audience that would want to play that classic feel, while modern gamers hearing about Crossfire for the first time may find it easier just to get into the more modern style of combat and control schemes. I'm looking forward to see more Crossfire X updates down the road, and it's clear that the game has already come a long way since its launch earlier this year. The game runs extremely well on my Xbox Series X, and the engine itself has a really clean, attractive visual style which really lends itself to the competitive shooter genre. Now, what do you guys think? Have you played Crossfire X yet? Did you play the original Crossfire? Let me know in the comments, and once again, check the link in the video description for more details about the game. And as always, thanks for watching. This is LevelCap, signing off.